Okay, what I'm going to be doing today is showing you how to create your own class notebook so you can share and collaborate with your students very easily. The best place to start, and the reason I do this is because it involves getting rid of all the issues you might have if you're on a Mac or a PC or an iPad or whatever, an Android device, is it's good to jump on a computer, and you can do this even on an iPad, and browse to the portal.office.com website. So obviously you need to have an Office 365 account for this to work. Your school will give you some sort of credentials. Mine's just in here, and you're probably familiar with going into this area. You're probably going there a lot to do other stuff. Basically here I'm logging into my account, and I should be presented with my default apps. I think I might have a red theme or an orangey theme, so yours might look slightly differently. And they do update these areas a lot, so it could look very differently to yours. I'm just going to go into the class notebook. Make sure I don't just go into normal OneNote. I'm going into the class notebook area, and that's coming through. So here we get presented with 4 different areas that we can choose from. I think, seeing as that this movie is about creating a class notebook, this is the only thing we need to worry about at this stage. There are other things that we can do, and definitely add or remove students is something that we will be doing along the way. When I come in here, I can start putting together a name of my class. So say for instance, this time I'm going to be doing Maths Year 10, 2017. If I've got different types of maths classes or multiple math classes in the same group, I would really think that's a great idea to put a good name here so that you can find them, and the students can find them easily as well. This just gives you an idea of some of the areas that are created. We've had a look at that in a different movie, if you want to check that out to find out more about those spaces, but that's basically here. The next screen is asking for if we want any other teachers to access this. Now you can do this situation where multiple teachers look in the same notebook. There are ways now to actually create a staff notebook which operates differently, but if you give another teacher access, they have just as much control over this notebook as you do. They can add files, delete files, look at other student work. I normally would only recommend doing this if you create a notebook and you want to share the information that the other teacher can then move to their own notebook. I would not be saying that you should have a situation where multiple classes access the same notebook, even if you're the same teacher. So I would not have 2 Year 10 maths classes sharing the same notebook. I would separate them out. It's really not that hard to move some information around. This area in here, we can add some students. I've got some on my clipboard to add in. And you can see how once it knows their email address, it will look against the school's credentials to actually put those together, and have that. Now, if I go next and follow this through, what's going to happen is those students are actually going to receive an email saying this notebook's created. I really don't want that to happen, so I'm actually going to remove them from this example. And that can go through, but I just needed to show you how that resolves really nicely. Hit next. This section here shows you some of what's going to happen when in our notebook. So these are sections that the students will have access to. I'm just going to show you how that appears. So here's a notebook here I created earlier. Here's my students in here, and you'll notice that they all have this section called class notes in their section. I did that by removing handouts, homework, and quizzes, and just leaving class notes. You can add your own extra sections here if you wanted to, but there's better ways of doing that later, which will give you actually some more options. I normally leave it at that point. That seems good to me. I'm going to hit next. This just gives you a preview. Not sure why this is still here because it kind of makes sense anyway, and we just wait for it to create. Depending on how much information it has to do, depends on how long it will take. There you go, it's done. So if we had students or other teachers added at this stage, they would receive an email confirming that they're in the class, and they would have a link to access it. As the teacher of the class, we now actually can go straight into the OneNote online, which we would do if we're on a device that didn't have an application. Or we can go in Notebook. This is OneNote, sorry. This is the desktop app. We can also, if we're on a Mac, we don't have to worry about this. On a PC, if you haven't downloaded the Class Notebook add-in, now's the time to do that. This will give you some great functionality. It's beyond what the Mac app has built in, but yeah, really great idea doing that. So I'm just going to hit the open in OneNote. Depending on your browser and your platform, you'll get a pop-up similar to this, just asking you to allow confirmation. Now I've jumped back to my app automatically through the system, and OneNote is opening the new notebook, and it's just pulling in through the data. You'll notice as that comes through, I've got my default spaces, and if I had other students, they would be showing up in this area here. At this point, you're pretty much ready to go and start setting this up whatever way you want to. If there's content you want to share through the library, you can put that in there. The only thing I normally do is to make this look a little bit better. I just delete some of these sections that are default and add new sections that are a bit cleaner. Hi everyone. Yay, just get them all excited about doing work in general. We will cover some of the other sections like this class notebook tab in a different video, but from there you're pretty much ready to rock and roll. Thank you.